It's Tiffanys, and we are in New York City for the winter, and we know that a lot of migrants have come over seeking asylum and a safe place to live. Over 130,000 has fled their countries since earlier this year and definitely still seeking a place to stay. So right now you just have a lot of people laying right in the streets in the city of New York City, and it's definitely a sad situation, and we're definitely looking at the weathers ahead and worried about the conditions that a lot of these migrants may be facing for these hard times. Now we know that because of this, there's going to be a lot of people still seeking shelter, and just looking at the current situations, you know that the winter months ahead will maybe even more brutal for these people. So you can see there has been a lot of donations coming in the box loads, but a lot of the city streets are now being, filled with those items. A lot of tents are being donated, and that's great for people to, have a place to lay their head for now. But we know that this is only temporarily until they can find shelter, but it's starting to become a very bad situation for the fellow Americans as well as the migrants. And we're looking at health conditions. We're looking at winter months ahead that can, be freezing temperatures, below temperatures, raining, sleet, freezing rain, very cold winter. So we're definitely, looking out for the people, the children. This was their first time seeing snow for the first time for some of the kids, and even the adults, because fleeing their countries, they haven't had a chance to visit other places. But when they came here, they was able to see the snow, and that's all great. But when reality starts to kick in, it's going to start to be a very big problem for our country. So right now we're just looking for shelter before these brutal winter storms start coming in. And again, we have an El Nino year, and those waters are warm, but when it reacts with cold air, we don't know what can happen, and possibly a lot of winter storms. So we've got to get them out of that cold winter air, and hopefully they can find some shelter. Now at the end, you'll definitely see a video that'll explain a little bit more in detail of what's going on in New York City, as right now we're focusing on the weather in the winter months ahead, and you can see that it's going to be brutal out there. And even when it's not like completely snowing, that snow is going to come down and have a lot of things wet, and it's just going to be a wet winter, and we got to look out for that, because this happened before, and we don't want to go back in time. We want to keep it to where, our city streets are safe and clean and a nice place to visit when you go to New York City. I mean, right now it's just a lot of people on the streets, and it's unbelievable in a lot of instances. So wherever you can help, that's great. Find your local listings and donate. Again, I'm going to show you a video of this New York City weather in the winter months ahead, and you're going to see just how important it is for these people to find shelter immediately. Those who are seeking asylum is just fleeing from their countries because of hardships over there. I mean, you don't know the situations, so it's very hard to comment. But one thing I do know is that these winter months is going to be brutal. It's going to be very, very treacherous for a lot of people. A lot of people are just going to be building homes and tents wherever they can, and you can see that's happening already from the migrants who have come over seeking a shelter. And it's a lot of them. Again, it was over 130,000 since this year in just New York City alone. So now we're all going to react to the video that we're going to see next, so leave comments below. It's Tiffanys Content. Make sure you're liking, share, and subscribe.
Tonight in the heart of New York City, a few blocks from Broadway's brightest lights, people seeking asylum are crammed together, sharing what food they have and waiting, hoping they'll be able to get a bed inside the historic Roosevelt Hotel turned shelter.
A lot of the people here we've been speaking to say they have been waiting for days trying to get information about whether or not there's a bed or some place for them to stay in this shelter here that is supposed to be for people seeking asylum. But right now, they tell us really the only information they have is what's written on this board here, this dry erase board saying that they are currently at capacity. Tickets save your place in line, and there will be updates at 3, 6, and 9 p.m.
Most tell us they've been sleeping on the sidewalk for days. Bits of cardboard, the only relief from the dirt and grit of concrete. Jose has spent more hours than he can count waiting to be processed. He was a pharmacist in Venezuela, but says the country's political and economic turmoil forced him to flee.
If you already have a trial date, why are they making you sleep out here instead of inside?
No sé. Seguimos en espera a ver.
The mayor's office says more than 95,600 asylum seekers have come through the city's intake system since last spring.
It's not going to get any better. From this moment on, it's downhill. There is no more room.
And Mayor Eric Adams says the city doesn't have the resources to keep up with the demand.
We have to figure out how we're going to localize the inevitable that there's no more room indoors.
We spoke to migrants who say word about the Big Apple traveled fast. Family and friends told them New York City is a place that will try to house them.
You have hope that a solution will come quickly?
Yeah, I hope so.
Miguel traveled for 18 days, making his way from Cuba to Mexico and eventually New York City. He says a friend bought him a plane ticket to New York after he was processed at the southern border.
The situation was getting worse and worse, so it was time to leave. Like it's happening, Latin America.
Some advocates say this overflow is by design, that Mayor Adams is trying to send a message that traveling to New York will not be the American dream these asylum seekers are looking for.
What we've been experiencing for several months now since they opened up the respite sites is inhumane treatment and people that are coming here for help and being blamed for a system that has been in shambles since before the migrants got here.
But the deputy mayor of Health and Human Services says that is far from true.
I've been so proud of the fact that we've been able to take care of over 100,000 people on top of the system that we have already, and no one has had to wait in the ways that they're waiting now. We're the good guys. We are the ones that are standing in the gap of what I feel is a national issue and should have a national solution.
Over the last year, the city has opened 194 sites for migrants, including 13 large-scale humanitarian relief centers. They say they're currently housing over 56,000 asylum seekers. We were granted access to the hotel turned arrival center.
So inside this hotel, this is the first place where people who are seeking asylum are processed in New York City. Officials with the city, they tell us it is hundreds of people coming in to this room every single day.
It was closed for years, but the city opened it as this crisis got worse.
We have met people seeking asylum from Venezuela, Cuba, West Africa, the Congo, the Middle East. Once they're inside, this is a place where they can sleep. One thing that has been striking, seeing people inside as well as outside, is that outside, everyone we've seen, they're adults, mostly men. That's because the city says they have been able to shelter every single family and child who have come seeking asylum. And this right here, all of these playpens for kids, it's a reminder of that. The people we're seeing inside, we are seeing more families, more children who are here waiting for their and their families' claims to be processed.
As for Miguel, he says he will wait.
Many people died along the way. I made it through, so I guess I can't give up.